Trippie Redd is shown in a new video just before 6ix9ine's lover is killed, endangering the lives of those closest to him.
Oh no, we definitely got footage at this mom crib. She live in building 18 out here.
His lover paid the price, and 6ix9ine's mother was nowhere to be seen. Any minute now, Trippie might be arrested. I have all the information. Let's dissect it. The video is unsettling. There's more to the new video of Trippie Redd threatening Tekashi 69 with death than not after the execution-style smoking of Ariella. Lang Costa Mahia Polano, a shorty for 6ix9ine on August 17, 2025. Family, this isn't a coincidence. When street feuds turn from Instagram live drama to actual gangsters in the trenches, this is what happens. You see, words have weight in the hood. It's not just a cap when someone claims he's going to body you, especially if he has connections. And street cred like Trippie. It's a blood-stained pledge. And the murder of Ariella may represent the fulfillment of that promise, albeit not by the anticipated individual. Is not a metaphorical bar or a subliminal insult. This is a direct threat to drain your energy, and that carries a lot of weight in the streets when you have gang affiliations like both of these guys do. Trippie is more than just a rough talker. There on camera, he's taking a blood oath. Additionally, that line from Osama bin Tekashi is aloof and disrespectful, essentially labeling 6ix9ine a terrorist who should be pursued and removed from the game. However, when you look at the other threats Trippie was making during this entire beat, it becomes much more menacing. In May 2018, during an intense Instagram live altercation, Trippie Redd said, "I'm even going to kill you with medicine, and when I see you, take your flag off." He was threatening 6ix9ine with violence. The mysterious street language in that medical line might indicate anything from guns to poison. In any case, Homie was discussing sending 6ix9ine to see his creator. In addition, he used his own family to emphasize his points, saying things like, "Put this on my daughter's life," and pushing 6ix9ine to stop lying. He also accused 6ix9ine of encouraging domestic violence. It really got serious when these men began cursing the lives of their children in the neighborhood. It's the energy of the blood in, blood out kind.
What are you talking about, bro?
What you mean what I'm talking about?
What dad homies you talking about?
Oh yeah, that homie. I'm talking about all them.
What you talking about?
You
Who you
ain't
talking
that
about?
homie. What you talking about? I'm
You
gangster
mad?
like that. I'm gangster like that.
Oh, you gangster.
You know I'm gangster like that.
Where you at?
I'm in Brooklyn. Me where I'm at. I'm in Brooklyn. You know where I'm
Alright,
at.
stay less. Stay in Brooklyn.
I'm going to stay in
Alright, bet. Stay less. We on the way.
Yo, Trippie, you ain't your dad. Oh, I'm talking about nigga, stay there. What I'm gonna stay in, you mother, your dad. What you think I'm?
Right there in Trippie's voice, you can hear the murder. This is not a thug from the studio. This is genuine. Street enthusiasm from a man who is eager to show off his skills with the entire team. Trippie Redd caught 6ix9ine in another Instagram live session and threatened to beat the living daylights out of him. However, as everyone knows, the phrase "beat the point out of" can. The most terrifying aspect of it all is how Trippie began assembling a death squad out of other rappers who were at odds with 6ix9ine. Due to claims that Tedo mistreated his girlfriend Cuban Doll, 6ix9ine got into a separate argument with Chief Keef and Tadu in May 2018. The street became really heated at this point. Trippie Redd released the diss track "I Kill People" in stark opposition to 6ix9ine, siding with Tedo and Chief Keef. All you need to know should be revealed by the title alone. This was no ordinary disc record. There were several shooters ready to capture bodies in this murder anthem. Trippie Redd, who previewed the song on Instagram, and captioned it as solely about killing people and going into album mode, was the coldest aspect of all of this. He framed it as a reaction to 6ix9ine's shenanigans. Homie wasn't even attempting to conceal the time. He stated unequivocally that the song was about murdering people in the neighborhood. Anyone who wants to get some street credit is essentially given the all-clear when that kind of energy is put out there. We had to travel back in time to when these two were truly cool in order to comprehend how we came to this fatal level of hostility. Back when they were both hungry, young people attempting to survive the hardship, the two first became friends and worked together in the SoundCloud rap scene. In essence, Trippie put his friend on with some serious production when he flew 6ix9ine to his studio and gave him 3 Pierre-born tunes: Poles, 1469, OE, and, most importantly, what would turn out to be 6ix9ine's breakthrough song, Gum, were the products of what was supposed to be a come-up session for both of them.
We had did the songs.
Wait. So that's where Poles and all that came from? That one, like...
Yeah,
session?
I had flew him out, bro. And that's where Poles came from. That's where Gummo came from.
However, this is where the snake first appeared. Trippie wanted to go nuts on that specific beat, so he opted to postpone his planned appearance on Gummo. 6ix9ine took that beat back to New York and molded it into the viral hit that made him famous. So that choice would come back to haunt him.
It was all my beats, and we were supposed to do Gummo as the last song, but it had... Well, I didn't want to just put anything on that beat. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to go crazy on that, so I just said, I'm gonna get on it later.
The fact that Trippie was unaware at the time that Gummo was actually intended as a diss track directed specifically at him makes this betrayal all the more heinous. 6ix9ine created a weapon against Trippie by utilizing his own beat, studio, and hospitality. That right there is snake behavior on a whole other level. See, 9ine stated in his 2019 federal evidence that he was jealous of Trippie's early label signing and their partnership having been prosperous, but he was bitter about their working relationship. In other words, Homie was essentially planning on Trippie from the beginning while dining at his table and grinning in his face. However, Trippie's discovery of 6ix9ine's 2015 legal case regarding the use of a child in a sexual performance was the true tipping point. Trippie couldn't ignore or forgive this because he had personal pain in his family.
But the whole situation was just like, I figured out bro did that with that little girl, and I ain't like that, bro. My sister was raped, you know, with that type of shit.
It was over when Trippie learned about the documentation pertaining to 6ix9ine's case. Trippie stated unequivocally that he had seen the court documents confirming 6ix9ine's guilty plea and that he was unwilling to comply.
It's paperwork on that, bro. Like, it ain't...
Did you ever talk to him like, yo, bro, like, I ain't gonna lie, like...
Bro, he pulled up on me, and I was ready to hit with him. And bro was like, I'm emotional. I'm in my feelings. I want to talk. That's what he told me. And we was talking. And we talked about it. And he was talking about the... I'm like, bro,
Is this after you brought it online?
I'm like, bro, it's paperwork. He like, bro, I don't care, but that's fake. I'm like, bro, it's not fake, bro. It's a legal document, bro. Bro, like, I seen it. Zilla sent it to me.
6ix9ine attempted to persuade Trippie that the accusations were untrue, but Trippie refused to back down. He had personally viewed the court documents, and the truth of what had transpired could not be disputed. Most people believe that violating children in the neighborhood is a surefire way to die. Once that moral boundary was crossed, the violence swiftly increased. Members of 6ix9ine's 9 Tray crew are accused of attacking Trippie in November 2017 at a hotel in New York. This wasn't a haphazard altercation. 6ix9ine himself ordered this well-planned strike.
Bro had waiting for me at my hotel. Some 9 Tray. As soon as I walk in the building, hit right in my mouth. Got hit in my mouth. Then my beat his and then they ran. So I chased the myself mostly. I ran them down myself.
Shout out to the
Me,
real
myself,
nine
and I.
trains, man. Chance they used to die in the hotel lobby.
For real though.
Trippie's charges were entirely true, since 6ix9ine eventually admitted in court that he planned this attack. You've crossed a line that can never be uncrossed when you deploy gang members to attack a former friend. Both musicians had gang affiliations by this time, which gave their threats a lot more credibility. In the fall of 2017, 6ix9ine was linked to the 9 Trey gangster bloods. 6ix9ine would assert in his federal evidence that Trippie Redd was connected to the opposing blood set, known as the 15 Fee. St. Brims, what distinguishes the deadly severe situation we're dealing with from ordinary rap rivalry is this gang element. Threats of violence turn into promises of violence when you have actual shooters supporting your play. Additionally, innocent people like Ariella Polano may become caught in the crossfire when such promises entail pounding blocks and murdering people. When one considers all of these violent incidents and death threats, Ariella's fate begins to make much more sense. You hit what he likes most when you can't reach your main goal. Street Justice 101 is that, and that's precisely what could have occurred on the Mount Vernon Highway. August 17, 2025, will go down in hip-hop history as the day the streets collected their debt. The day the streets finally collected on years of debt, and an innocent woman paid the ultimate price, not for some hot record drop or iconic performance. Ariella Mesa Polano, also known as Ariella Langosta, was a 33-year-old Dominican influencer who was shot and killed inside her vehicle on the eastbound lanes of the Cross County Parkway, close to Exit 7 in Mount Vernon, New York. Family, this wasn't just a random drive-by or a botched heist. Simply put, this was an execution. Around 8:00 a.m., police received a 911 call about a disabled car that was partially on the shoulder. They found her in the driver's seat, suffering from several gunshot wounds. Authorities declared it a homicide when the Westchester County Medical Examiner's Office verified that she was shot. Because Ariella starred in the music video for the song Wapai in 2023, she was strongly linked to rapper Tekashi 69. However, their relationship deteriorated. Deeper than business, everyone. Despite the fact that the majority of stories characterize her as a close friend and collaborator, certain sources and social media posts conjectured about romantic relationships by making widespread claims that she was his girlfriend. When you actually think about it, the chronology of her last hours is devastating. Around 4:30 a.m., Ariella left her job at Icon, New York, and was on her way home when she was shot several times and killed. Imagine this. A few cowardly assassins were waiting in the cut to smoke Shorty after she had just finished a long night at work and was likely exhausted. She was only trying to get home to her bed. Her last social media post, which was uploaded just before she passed away, added a cruel irony to her death by expressing how joyful and lucky she felt. That is what exacerbates the situation even further. Death was stalking her, but she was unaware of it. She was broadcasting her positive energy, feeling thankful, and living her life, while someone was planning to kill her for reasons unrelated to her.
Whatever he did, like I always say, man, get your man. Get your man. Get your man. Get your man. If y'all looking for 6ix9ine, if y'all thought that was revenge, that definitely some revenge to hurt him.
The fact that this murder fits into a pattern of violence that has been associated with 6ix9ine for years is what is most unsettling. The relationship between Ariella and 6ix9ine started in 2018. Additionally, during a close accomplices. Many people are ignoring the important element of that kidnapping in 2018. It demonstrates that Ariella had previously been the target of an attempt due to her affiliation with 6ix9ine. and she had survived that attempt. However, the streets never forget, and they certainly don't. The events of 2025 may have been the culmination of a project that began in 2018. 6ix9ine's response upon learning of Ariella's murder revealed all the information we required to understand their true level of intimacy. Tekashi made an emotional, he paid homage to her on his Instagram stories, posting videos of them dancing together in a car, on a roller coaster, and at parties. He described her as my sister, the Queen of New York, and an amazing woman. He wrote things like, "You helped me out in every way. New York won't be the same. I cherished you. Cheers. I cherish you." Mogra and the broken heart emoticons accompany the statement that no heart can ever replace yours. Both the anguish and the suggestion that her death was directly related to her devotion to him were genuine in those posts. He essentially confirmed that she was a member of his inner circle when he referred to her as the Queen of New York and spoke of how much she backed him. That made her a real target for anyone who wished to harm him on the street, but couldn't approach him closely enough to make physical contact. The entertainment industry also showered Cardi B with tributes, posting a picture of Maya Pilano on her Instagram story with the caption, "R.I.P. Dominican Pretty." Her connection to the movement is demonstrated by the fact that prominent hip-hop figures were lamenting her passing, which also explains why she became a target. Because it validates what the streets already knew, the police statement is significant. This assassination was targeted. The term isolated does not imply randomness. It indicates that it was unique to Ariella and her situation. And what were those conditions? Her intimate connection to one of hip-hop's most despised personalities.
Yo, so a couple days ago, man, 6ix9ine's girlfriend was murdered sitting in the car. This is like crazy, man. I don't know, like, she's a beautiful lady.
Yella's response perfectly encapsulates the thoughts of the entire hip-hop community. This murder was committed in retaliation for 6ix9ine striking a loved one. The reasoning is straightforward, but harsh. Knowing that his enemies have come close enough to murder his people, you make sure he suffers for the rest of his life by touching what he loves most if you are unable to touch the guy himself. We can also learn a lot about the possible perpetrators from the manner of execution. Numerous gunshots, expert monitoring of her routine, and the audacity to execute the hit on a major highway. This wasn't a novice. People with the kind of street credibility that comes from having ties to major criminal groups, as well as resources and planning, were responsible for this. She was supposed to be home, according to the police. And when she didn't, family members drove about looking for her and ended up on the site. This information implies that her assassins most likely understood her schedule as well, because her family was aware enough of it to be concerned when she failed to arrive on time. They had been observing, anticipating, and making plans. Another important factor is the murder's location. Mount Vernon is located near places where both 6ix9ine and Trippie have ties, as well as the Bronx, which is the center of the 9 trade territories. Whoever did pick a location where they could hit and then swiftly vanish into a well-known region. There are no known suspects as of August 27, 2025. Details like the precise timing of the incident or possible motivations are still unknown because the investigation is still underway, and no one has been taken into custody. However, an official investigation is not necessary for the public to know what transpired here. The continuing conflicts around 6ix9ine have escalated to a new level with this murder. Executions have replaced threats on social media. Additionally, if someone was, the fact that he is prepared to murder an innocent woman simply because she was near 6ix9ine indicates that no one in his social circle is safe. No one, not even his friends, family, or business associates. Ariel Mahaya, Polano's murder serves as a bloody warning to 6ix9ine and anybody else who might be considering crossing the wrong people on these streets. The message is straightforward. Although we are unable to touch you directly at this time, we can and will touch everyone you care about until you make amends for your actions. The several reasons for murder. The cold fact is that 6ix9ine has so many guys who want him dead that anyone might have ordered the hit on Ariella, even though Trippie Redd's murder threats offer a compelling theory. In his last scene, homies had more enemies than Tony Montana. Additionally, every one of them has cause to wish for him to suffer. You attack his loved ones when you are unable to reach the main target. That's Street Combat 101. Furthermore, 6ix9ine became the most notorious target in hip-hop history as a result of his decision to turn on his own people. When 6ix9ine decided to turn on the people who were supporting him in the streets, he created the most formidable adversary. In the fall of 2017, Daniel Hernandez joined the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods, leveraging their reputation and strength to establish his street cred while using his rap money to finance their activities. However, this did something that was against every street code when the federal agents arrived. He was cooperative. In a combined ATF, NYPD, and DHS operation on November 18, 2018, Hernandez and 5 other associates of 9 Trey were taken into custody on allegations of conspiracy, firearms violations, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit murder. He admitted to being a member of a gang and agreed to cooperate as a government witness when he entered a guilty plea to 9 charges on January 23, 2019, facing a minimum 47-year term and a possible life sentence. You must realize that snitching is worse than murder in the neighborhood. In some communities, you can kill someone and still be respected, but if you cooperate with the police, you're permanently marked for death. It is impossible to recover from that infraction. No amount of wealth or notoriety can erase that stain from your record. Hip-hop had never witnessed the extent of 6ix9ine's snitching before. Hernandez gave lengthy testimony over the course of 3 days during the September 2019 trial of 9 Trey members, Algeria Nuke Mac and Anthony Harv Ellison, describing the gang's structure, his involvement, and naming other alleged members, like Cardi B and Jim Jones. Hernandez was up there snitching on everyone, including gang members, rappers, producers, and anyone who had ever shown him love in the streets. His collaboration resulted in convictions, including Ellison's, and was characterized as revolutionary. 24 years in prison for kidnapping and racketeering. Because of 6ix9ine's testimony, we're discussing acquiring football numbers 20, 30, and 40. Years in the pen.
When you saw all these dudes that you're cool with getting football numbers because of one guy, I mean, you can't just blame it on him, but he was sort of the piece that put it all together and got them all, took the stand and told on everybody, which really hasn't happened in hip-hop before. Not to that extent.
Joel Santana was totally on the money there. Hip-hop had never seen this degree of collaboration. In subsequent interviews, Denard Drama Butler, a former member of 9 Trey, described how Hernandez's snitching broke apart the gang and resulted in several prosecutions. Because one person couldn't keep his lips shut, entire families were split up, children lost their fathers, moms lost their sons, and entire criminal organizations that had been supplying entire neighborhoods were shut down. In hood politics, 6ix9ine's cultural infringement cannot be minimized. His career in the hip-hop business, where snitching is considered a sin and frequently invokes the snitches get stitches mentality, was destroyed by his collaboration arrangement. In street culture, hurting children and assisting the police are the only 2 offenses that cannot be forgiven. 6ix9ine was able to connect with both.
So look, the guys that have that are in the cities that come from the environments where they adjust to kind of the street codes, the street lifestyle, right? Yeah. So these guys, they're looking at it like, nah, he snitched on everybody. Can't do it that. No, I ain't. The actual consumers of hip hop music are in Middle America.
Even 50 Cent had to admit that the street-oriented hip-hop culture would never forgive 6ix9ine's choice, despite his attempts to defend it from a suburban standpoint. The Hood's unspoken rule is very obvious. With your people, you either ride or die. You never assist the authorities, and you accept the repercussions of the life you have chosen. 6ix9ine's attitude toward the infraction was what? This was boasting about his participation as if it were something to be proud of, rather than expressing regret or attempting to keep quiet. He briefly became well known after the publication of Gooba 2020, which broke YouTube records and debuted at number 3 on the Billboard charts. He also went live on Instagram to defend his activities, which attracted 2 million people.
Let me put this in perspective and really follow me here. Imagine I would have stood tall, right? Kept it real, did the 47 years right now. Right?
Well, you wouldn't be on the podcast, that's for sure. Yeah,
and that's what I'm trying to get to. Who would be?
His entire rationale for coming forward was that he was betrayed first by his own people. They abducted him, stole his money, and had an affair with his girl. The problem with street politics, however, is this. Once you cross the line into police cooperation, none of it counts. You can't ring that bell, and you can't justify the ultimate betrayal with betrayal.
If another TMZ staff member kidnaps you, is that loyal to you? You're working right now, probably stealing all of the money that you're making right now and gives you crumbs of it, but is taking majority of the money. Is that loyal to you? These are my people. Like, how many people I beefed with in 2018? I beefed with the whole West Coast. I beefed with the Houston. I beefed with Chicago.
6ix9ine's reasoning is flawed because he attempts to extrapolate middle-class suburbia morals to real-world circumstances within the hood. Once you join a criminal organization, you acknowledge that exploitation, brutality, and treachery are all part of the game. When things don't go your way, you don't have the authority to alter the rules. Due to death threats from former colleagues, his collaboration put his life in constant danger. Despite warnings, he chose private security over witness protection, keeping him conspicuous and reachable by anyone seeking retribution. However, street justice's perilous truth is that it targets more than just the snitch. It aims for everyone within their orbit: acquaintances, girlfriends, family, and business associates. Anyone who demonstrates allegiance to a known cooperator becomes a target. Ariella Polano experienced precisely that. She was in the midst of 6ix9ine's many scandals because of her affiliation with him, which many believe led to her targeted murder. According to street reasoning, you hit what they adore most if you can't reach the main objective. It conveys the idea that no one is untouchable while causing the most suffering. There are many more than simply the 9 Trey members he testified against who had good reason to want 6ix9ine dead. He played a mutually beneficial but exploitative role in 9 Trey. Acting as a cash cow for the gang, he contributed tens of thousands of dollars from his music earnings to finance their operations. He didn't only betray specific gang members when he cooperated, he brought down a whole criminal business that had been providing for numerous neighborhoods and families. He named Jim Jones as another accused affiliate and testified during the trial that Cardi B was a member of 9 Trey. No charges were brought. These accusations made more adversaries who might harbor resentment from being openly linked to illegal activities. 6ix9ine's reasoning is flawed because he attempts to extrapolate middle-class suburbia morals to real-world circumstances within the hood. Once you join a criminal organization, you acknowledge that exploitation, brutality, and treachery are all part of the game. When things don't go your way, you don't have the authority to alter the rules. Due to death threats from former colleagues, his collaboration put his life in constant danger. Despite warnings, he chose private security over witness protection, keeping him conspicuous and reachable by anyone seeking retribution. However, street justice's perilous truth is that it targets more than just the snitch. It aims for everyone within their orbit: acquaintances, girlfriends, family, and business associates. Anyone who demonstrates allegiance to a known cooperator becomes a target. Ariella Polano experienced precisely that. She was in the midst of 6ix9ine's many scandals because of her affiliation with him, which many believe led to her targeted murder. According to street reasoning, you hit what they adore most if you can't reach the main objective. It conveys the idea that no one is untouchable while causing the most suffering. There are many more than simply the 9 Trey members he testified against who had good reason to want 6ix9ine dead. He played a mutually beneficial but exploitative role in 9 Trey. Acting as a cash cow for the gang, he contributed tens of thousands of dollars from his music earnings to finance their operations. He didn't only betray specific gang members when he cooperated, he brought down a whole criminal business that had been providing for numerous neighborhoods and families. He named Jim Jones as another accused affiliate and testified during the trial that Cardi B was a member of 9 Trey. No charges were brought. These accusations made more adversaries who might harbor resentment from being openly linked to illegal activities.
Listen, man, we all know what we signed up for, man. And I'm gonna leave it at that. We know what we signed up for. And how it plays out, it plays out. Some people get the end of the stick, some people don't. Some people get worse situations than others, but it's all part of what we signed up for, and we can't complain or we can't be mad or try to figure out how the outcome became that outcome for us.
Santana's viewpoint nicely encapsulates the street culture. Everybody is aware of the game they are playing and the possible outcomes. However, 6ix9ine's collaboration went against the basic guidelines that enable the game. It is also impossible to overlook 6ix9ine's global issues. His disputes went beyond domestic gang politics, as evidenced by his arrests for assault in the Dominican Republic in 2023 and 2024. It is far more difficult to anticipate the next threat. When you have adversaries in several different nations, his predicament was likely made even more hazardous by 6ix9ine's recent financial hardship. By 2022, court records showed he was unable to command pre-arrest maneuvers and was having financial difficulties. According to reports, he goes bankrupt. By 2025, has his Bentley seized and has his assets liquidated. You start doing things you wouldn't typically do when you're desperate and broke. You hang out with folks you should stay away from. Because you cannot afford adequate security or protection, you take risks that you cannot afford and endanger those around you. Additionally, he was in the news at the worst possible moment due to his recent legal issues. He was detained until November 2024 after being arrested for domestic abuse against Exilin Lamas Viral, violating supervised release by traveling without authorization and failing drug tests. His adversaries were reminded that he was still alive each time his name was mentioned in the press, still in need of street justice and still at risk. Security experts refer to Ariella Polano's murder as soft target retaliation. When the EP primary target is too cautious or well protected to be reached, you turn your attention to the easier-to-reach individuals who matter to them. It's psychological warfare meant to show that no one is safe while causing the most emotional harm possible. Consider the entirety of 6ix9ine's adversaries, from the numerous rivals he created through his careless actions to the dozens of gang members whose lives he devastated through his testimony to Trippie Redd's proven murder threats. It's obvious that people could have ordered Ariella's murder. Which particular enemy ultimately determined that the moment had come to collect on the debt he owed the streets is the question, not whether 6ix9ine had adversaries capable of such brutality. They say you get what you sow in the neighborhood. Years of cooperation, betrayal, and breaking street codes were sown by 6ix9ine. Now that the harvest has arrived, an innocent woman has to pay for his decisions. That is street justice's grim reality. Usually, the initial sinner is not the only one affected. Admire this video? To learn more, click on the cards on your screen.